Resignations at the Department of Justice and the FBI have really ramped up lately, creating quite the stir as top officials have been announcing their departures left and right. This isn't just some recent phenomenon, it's been a growing trend for months now. Many are either being pushed out unlawfully or are choosing to resign to uphold their integrity and stick to the law. Donald Trump has certainly stirred the pot, creating some ethically challenging situations for DOJ lawyers. Take, for example, the case involving Mayor Adams from the Southern District of New York. This led to some really talented people deciding it was time to walk away. He also went after lead prosecutors in high-profile cases, including the Epstein case, putting people like Maura Comey and her team in some tough spots. In the Eastern District of Virginia, the fallout continued as Eric Siebert, a Republican appointed as interim United States Attorney by Trump, was basically let go for refusing to go along with dubious prosecutions targeting Trump's political rivals, such as James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James. It's hard to ignore the fact that there really seems to be a massive talent exodus from the DOJ. Back in May, we reported that 70% of the lawyers from the DOJ's Civil Rights Division had packed their bags, all because of Trump's actions. Even 2/3 of the unit meant to defend Trump's own policies decided to run for the hills, and we've seen DOJ lawyers focusing on immigration cases opting to quit as well. Reports from Axios, the Justice Connection, and the Daily Beast have shown a light on the creativity flowing through the resignation letters of these departing DOJ lawyers. Many of them didn't hold back, throwing in some sharp critiques of the current administration. There's this growing community of DOJ and FBI alumni sharing these letters, voicing serious concerns about what's happening within the agency. They talk about feeling pressured to put loyalty to the president before the Constitution, being asked to set aside their ethical responsibilities, and they raise alarms about the lasting damage this could inflict on the Department of Justice. And speaking of appointments, it's amusing to see who Trump seems to be picking for key roles. For instance, there's Lindsay Halligan, a former beauty pageant contestant who came in 5th place, yet her selection seemed more like she snagged the top spot. After her pageant days, she moved on to become an insurance lawyer, despite never having practiced in federal court or served as a federal prosecutor. It's quite the lineup being put together. So let's talk about that Eastern District of Virginia. It's known for being one of the top spots for serious prosecutions like counterterrorism and espionage, and they've got a brilliant reputation. But guess what? They've now got this new interim United States Attorney, Halligan, who stepped in after Eric Siebert resigned. Siebert, a respected Republican, didn't play Trump's games, and that's probably why Halligan got the gig in the first place. Right off the bat, Halligan made waves. She violated a ton of protocols in the grand jury room. It's pretty wild, to be honest. She wasn't even supposed to be there since her appointment was questionable, and it gets worse. She brought along an agent with knowledge of attorney-client privilege issues, which is a major red flag. A lawyer is meant to catch that stuff, so it's clear she wasn't starting on solid ground. Then there's the matter of her incorrect legal opinions on crucial topics, like James Comey's Fifth Amendment rights and burden of proof. Halligan didn't even have the grand jury foreperson sign off on the right indictment. She passed off a different one as if it were the real deal. It's like a cover-up waiting to happen. While people focus on the high-profile cases involving Comey and others, Trump's shenanigans are happening nationwide. Take a look at the Central District of California, where another questionable interim attorney has at least stopped calling himself interim. And let's not forget New Jersey and Nevada. Trump's influence stretches far and wide. Moving over to the Southern District of New York, there's Clayton now in charge. He's never actually been a federal prosecutor, which feels a bit awkward, especially for such a prestigious office. Sure, he worked at a big law firm, but it seems he's more there for his loyalty to Trump than any real experience. It's disappointing when you think about the proud tradition those offices have maintained over the years. And speaking of New Jersey, Alina Habba is taking the reins as interim United States Attorney, which definitely adds to the drama. The situation at the Department of Justice is really troubling. It's not just a feeling, it's a reality unfolding right before our eyes. Judges are looking at the DOJ like it's a disbarred lawyer trying to argue a case, and trust me, that says a lot about how far things have plummeted. I had a great chat on my podcast recently, which will drop on Thanksgiving, featuring some veterans from the DOJ sharing their take on the current mess. It's more than you could possibly imagine. It's hard to ignore the fact that the agency is struggling under the weight of all this turmoil. When you look at the different departments, some have taken a harder hit than others. Take the public integrity section, for example. It was once the pride of the DOJ's criminal prosecution, but now it's down to just 2 people out of 30. And then there's the Civil Rights Division, which has also seen several of its sections nearly wiped out. The remaining staff are left feeling pretty lost and directionless. We anticipated that many talented people would be forced out, and while some still cherish their roles at the DOJ, the harsh reality is that job losses are challenging, and landing a new job isn't always simple. Harry, having been a top federal prosecutor, understands the ins and outs of this system like nobody else. The real concern isn't just the dwindling numbers, it's the loss of experience. Those seasoned veterans, the ones we count on for leadership and sound judgment, have decided they can no longer tolerate the situation. This isn't just an organization that's become hollowed out. We're losing the very people who used to embody integrity and justice at the department. In the midst of all this, it feels like serious investigations have come to a halt while we're stuck in this partisan quagmire. Imagine if there were competent prosecutors collaborating with the FBI to tackle grave issues like sex trafficking, drug crimes, and corruption. But right now, all that seems to be on pause. The leadership crisis is evident, and it's honestly hard to believe how far things have fallen. Lately, it feels like we're witnessing a scene from a post-apocalyptic world where people are just going through their daily routines. I stumbled upon some touching letters from Justice Connection that really highlight the current situation, and there's even this New York Times Magazine article by Emily Bazelon that highlights the stories of 60 individuals who have left their positions. When you take a step back and look at the bigger picture, it's alarming to see the very foundations of the institution getting whittled away, and that raises serious concerns about public safety. The erosion of trust, something the Department of Justice has worked tirelessly to cultivate over decades, is disheartening. Even more heartbreaking is thinking about the young and idealistic prosecutors who once admired their DOJ role models. Now they're left without anyone to look up to as they forge their paths in their careers. We all know that the integrity of justice should be about fairness and a steadfast commitment to tackling crime without bias, but recently it looks like that's taking a hit. Take Eric Siebert, for instance. He exhibited a level of honor that's hard to find among prosecutors. He assessed a potential case and concluded, "This doesn't meet the federal prosecution standards." That choice should resonate powerfully throughout the Department of Justice, yet he ended up facing termination instead. This not only impacts Siebert, but also raises serious questions about public safety and the morale of everyone in that office. Sometimes we forget that figures like James Comey have also walked those halls and were held in high regard. When you consider the overall toll this situation has taken on the department, it's just downright catastrophic. There's a mountain of work to be done to get things back on track. It's been a bit of a mixed bag lately, but maybe there's a faint glimmer of hope that things can turn around. Restoring the credibility and commitment to justice that we've leaned on since the days of Watergate is certainly a Herculean task. Honestly, it might never return to what it used to be. Hearing your thoughts on this, Harry, especially given the recent events, is intriguing. Even if you didn't explicitly say hope, it felt like you were hinting at it. As for the broader concern of whether our democracy will hold strong, I remain hopeful there. Sure, the situation isn't perfect, but that doesn't mean we should give up. We must keep fighting, and you've been a shining example of that. With Thanksgiving around the corner, it's a fitting time to reflect on just how delicate democracies can be. Things have really taken a turn, especially for Trump. His popularity is dropping, and that's not just bad news for his election chances. It's also going to make any of his more outlandish plans, like a coup, much harder to pull off. He's going to need a solid base of support, and right now that seems to be dwindling. When you look at his inner circle, it's almost chaotic. The Justice Department is dealing with some questionable loyalists who clearly don't understand what it means to be a public servant. Take Lindsay Halligan, for example. She's involved with the grand jury, but she's inexperienced and expected to tackle complex tasks like getting testimony from big names such as James Comey. It's honestly hard to believe she's in that position, and it's led to a whole lot of blunders. We've been witnessing quite the series of mistakes, which really makes you wonder about the fairness of our systems. It's concerning to think about a country where those with power can create legal trouble for people just because they oppose the president. That really undermines democracy. Plus, it raises alarms about lawmakers being threatened for simply speaking the truth about military matters. Looking ahead, it's pretty obvious there's a big cleanup on the horizon, and it's going to be a hefty job. Trump might even be considering emergency powers to regain some control, trying to replicate his tactics from the years 2020 and 21. Even with the government filled with his loyalists, I can't shake the feeling that a strong public resistance is brewing, which could complicate things for him down the line. As the day comes to a close, it feels like we're all waiting for the Supreme Court or Congress to step in and save the day. But when things get tough, I can't help but recall Lincoln's words about public sentiment. It's clear that when you have the people's support, there's almost nothing you can't achieve. Without that backing, though, getting anything accomplished is a real uphill battle. You know, I really think that ultimately the American public is going to be the key player in all of this. Growing up reciting the Pledge of Allegiance every morning in first grade, there's a deep-seated pride in living in a democracy, no matter if someone leans a little to the left or the right. That's my honest opinion on the matter. Now, I'm not the most optimistic person when it comes to the current state of affairs. I try to keep it real, especially when things look pretty dire. Still, I genuinely feel that the biggest victory will belong to the people, and that's honestly a comforting thought. It's like this recurring theme we keep coming back to, right?